Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Trinity Stamps. Today we are going to be kind of letting our background be the star of the show. So originally I thought I was going to use the Filled with Gratitude envelope. I didn't. I did end up using the large branch die, the Thank You standalone die, and then the little leaves stamps. Here I just want to show you, I think I've shown you guys this in the past, this little trick. I want to use this as a background stamp, okay? It's got all these beautiful little leaves. I don't want to have to stamp them individually, mostly because I'm lazy. But this is a great trick if you're you want to use everything in a set, or if you want to use, like I am, like using it as a background. You could also, of course, do this with a background stamp. But basically what I'm doing is leaving all of the stamps on the acetate. I am using some adhesive, just dry adhesive, to adhere the acetate from the stamp to my Misty door. Then I can ink it up and stamp it as one full piece. Now, the tape that I happen to have right now is a permanent adhesive. So I'm going to show you how I clean that up as well. Most companies have like a temporary adhesive, which that you just would like rub off with your finger and it's super easy to clean up. I think the permanent is also super easy to clean up, but you do need an extra tool. So here I've inked it up with Versamark. I'm stamping it down onto some watercolor paper because my original intention was to do a watercolor background and then color up the little envelope with the leaves because I think it's beautiful and put those two together. However, I vastly underestimated the size of the envelope and I realized that it covered up quite a bit of my background and I really liked the background. So I just switched gears. So here, I did stamp it twice in Versamark just because it was the first time that I used the stamp and it wasn't seasoned. So I wanted to make sure I was going to get a good impression. So I stamped it twice. Now I'm putting on some white detail embossing powder. It is going to be white on white embossing, so you're not really going to see it until we start to add the color. Now, something else I did different today. Now, we're trying all kinds of new things lately because I'm making much more than I was before when it was just my hobby. Now that it's my job, I'm making a lot more often. Let's go back to how I'm going to remove this tape. So here I have some of it left on my Misty door, and obviously I have some that is left on my stamp. I just use Gooby Gone. So I just put a little bit down, like one little spray goes a whole long way, and it just dissolves the adhesive without too much effort on my part. I just take microfiber cloth, mine's wet, not soaking, but damp, and I just rub it right over there, and then it removes all the adhesive, and I can just put it back in the package like that never even happened. So anyway, back to what I was saying, where we're trying new things. I realized that I had not used my Distress Oxides in a long time after I was having a conversation with a crafty friend. So I decided I was going to get them out, and that's what I was going to do my watercolor background with. Here's the thing about the oxides. I think that they're really pretty, but they are much softer than Distress inks, and that's a struggle for me. I like bright color. So originally I thought I was going to go in and I was going to do my ink smushing with my acetate. That's what you see happening here. As far as the acetate concerned, it's really just the other half of my stamp cover because once I'm done, I can just clean it up and put it back in the set. I don't need I don't need to purchase acetate for this technique. I can just use what I have. And so I very quickly realized that in order to see the kind of fine line leaves I have stamped in the background, that technique is not going to work for this. It's a beautiful technique and I've used it in the past, but for me to be able to see my leaves, I'm going to have all over color. So I'm just going in direct with my ink pads. I am tilting them so just the edge of the ink pad is hitting that watercolor paper, and I am trying to pay attention to putting colors together next to each other that will work nicely. Will there be some blending anyway? Absolutely. But I did just try to be conscientious to put, my purples next to my reds, because they'll mix nicely together. My yellows and oranges, my yellows next to my greens. Yellow is kind of the workhorse of this particular color combination, because it goes with everything except the purple. So once I have that down and I've sprayed it, I'm just going in with a brush just to kind of move everything around. You'll notice that as I'm starting to pick up colors, I will stop and rinse my brush. I don't want to drag my purple into my yellow or my green into my red because they're complementary colors. But I am doing what I can to kind of move that around. I'm also going to go in with a baby wipe and just blot off the excess water. For this first round, I'm going to go in and dry it. I wanted to show you could do it either way. So you can dry it with a heat tool and still end up with really beautiful results, or you can let it dry on its own. So for the first round, I dried it with a heat tool. This is our result. I've told you I'm a fan of bolder color. So I decided I was going to go back in and do a round 2, which honestly I almost always do. And I'm just putting my colors in the same exact spots that they were before to just kind of make that color more intense. One of the main differences between Distress inks and Distress oxides, because the oxides have a pigment property, you can layer them. So you can put one color over another, whereas with Distress inks, they don't really layer, they just kind of mix. So you could switch this up and layer different colors, but I just wanted a darker or bolder, more saturated version of what I already had. So that's why I'm putting them just in the exact same spot. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to spray it down with my little mister, and then I'm going to go in with my paintbrush and just kind of start moving everything around. I did use a little bit less water this time around, just because I was trying to maintain the integrity of the colors. You could also do this if you want really, really bold color. Don't use the oxides, use the Distress inks. But also you could use reinkers to do this, and it would be super bold color. So for this one, I had a voiceover to do for another video. So once I was done, I just let it sit on my desk just like this, and I let it dry, and it flattened out all on its own. This is what it looks like. I was really happy with the way it turned out. We can very clearly see that emboss resist working and all of those little beautiful leaves in the background. You know, I can't leave a background alone. No, I cannot. So I'm going to go in and do, this is a smaller paintbrush. This is a number 2 round brush. And so I went in with just some clean water and did some spatters to get that kind of oxidation look. And then I let those little water droplets sit for a second. And then I just went in with a clean paper towel and blotted them up. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some perfect pearls and mix this with a little bit of water. The more pigment you have, well, I guess an easier way to say it is the less water you have, the more concentrated your color is going to be. But it also means that the thicker the mixture is, the less spattering you're going to get. So I did a couple with a thicker mixture, and then I added a little bit more water to get bigger droplets. And then this just went all over the background. It gives a nice little added shine to it. And I love gold with fall colors. Here's that envelope that we did not end up using. I thought that I was going to, and honestly, I really wanted to emphasize the background. I thought it was really pretty. So in order to do that successfully, there's a couple of things you can do. One is make your focal point a neutral. So, I shouldn't say your focal point, because now your background's your focal point. Make your embellishments a neutral. That's going to let all the color come from your background. Also, you can create your embellishments to be I don't even want to say less eye-catching, because they do add to the card. They need to be supporting actors, but they're less, what is the word that I want? Why am I struggling with this? They're like more dainty. You know what I'm saying? Like this branch cuts out the outside of the branch shape, but also the inside, which allows more of that color to come through. Same thing with the sentiment. Like we're going to do the sentiment in white, but then we're going to back it with vellum, because again, it's going to be less distracting is maybe, I guess, what I want. Like they're supposed to be supporting your background to let that be the star of the show. And you don't want it to you want it to add to the interest of your card, not distract from the interest of what is now your focal point with your background. So I just went with all white, but you certainly didn't have to. You could use other neutrals. A craft would be great with this. You could do black. I wouldn't do a black and white because that contrast is going to be really eye-catching. But yeah, lots of different options for neutrals that you could use to just let the watercoloring we did in the background be the star of the show. So for this Thankful die, it's the scripty Thanks die. It's really, really pretty. It is very thin and kind of a dainty font. So when I'm doing these, I like to connect the area I'm holding with my tweezers first and then work my way out. And then, for those of you who I know, the glue gun or the glue press is sold out pretty much everywhere, but everybody asks about it. It is super easy to use. You barely have to pull the little trigger for any glue to come out. It's amazing. Oftentimes I end up using more glue on like die cuts like this because I forget that I really don't need to pull it that hard. But it is a total game changer for really thin die cuts like these are, because you're not having to fight with a large nib. It comes with two, a fine tip and an ultra fine tip. The one that I have on mine it's just the fine tip. I don't even think it's the ultra fine tip. And it's so user friendly, and is really great. It doesn't require a lot of pressure. I know that they're sold out everywhere, but My Sweet Petunia, who is the creator of the glue press, last I checked, did have them in stock. I'll link them below. So anyway, here, these little branches are, they support those leaves. That makes sense that you're going to have branches and leaves. So I'm putting them down. I chose to do 2 corner pieces because these are a bit larger. And then that way I could put my sentiment in the middle and everything would kind of come together there. The other thing, you guys, I haven't been this excited about something in a really, really long time. You're going to think I'm absolutely out of my mind, unless you are a person who loves embellishments like I do. So if you're not familiar, Trinity Stamps has really fantastic embellishments. They have confettis and rhinestones and all kinds of things. One of these was sent to Tanisa, the owner, had sent it to me quite some time ago, and I never used it because it looked purple. It's called Reflecting Rainbow Brilliant Glass Rhinestones. But they looked purple. And I'm not a huge purple fan. Like, I'm just not. But I had some, seedless preserves in the background here. Here, what I'm doing is I'm just going in over my white die cuts and adding a little bit of shimmer. You could have cut them out of glitter cardstock. That's just a little bit more in your face. This shimmer is much more subtle. But anywho, so I pulled out. I was like, I'm looking for something to match these seedless preserves, match the background I have. So I pulled out 2 different kind of rhinestone mixtures, and one of them was this reflecting rainbow. And then I put them on my project. You guys, they change colors. Like, I was like, what is happening here? Like, I picked one up and it looked pink, and then I put it on my project and it looked orange, and I was like, what is happening here? But do you see how they look like a super dark purple in the tray, like the little tidy tray? But they're not dark purple. That's the back of the rhinestone. So when you put them on your project, like I'm looking at them here, and sometimes when the light catches them, some of them are green, some of them are yellow, some of them are pink, some of them are orange. And then you tilt it another way and they're more like a purpley pink or a bright orange or a dark green. Mind blown. Stop it. These are so stinking cool. Like, they're so cool. And like, I wish you could see, I don't know if you can see it in the video. You can see it in like the side photos. But they totally change color. They absolutely change color, and it's fantastic. And it was like such a perfect mix for the card that I had going on. It was so great. Anywho, so I decided I was going to add shimmer to the actual sentiment itself, and then that is the whole card. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you guys are kind of inspired to let your background shine. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.